Finding your feet on any racing game takes time, especially if you don't have huge amounts of overall experience within the genre. Winning is never easy at the best of times, but there are a few steps you can take to put yourself in the best possible position to start picking up some of that virtual silverware. Hello everybody, welcome back to the Traxion channel, where today we aim to help you improve at Assetto Corsa Competizione and get you closer to those race wins. I'm not talking here about turning the AI to zero or entering some wacky cheat codes. I'm talking about tangible improvements you can make to your own performance that will lead to better results going forward. Just before we jump in, why don't you subscribe to the Traxion channel? I know many of you are already subscribed, but those of you who aren't are missing out on a ton of useful ACC content. We have beginner's guides, setup guides, track guides, pit stop guides, tyre pressure guides, wet weather guides, and many more. So then, time to fire on with our 5 ways to win on Assetto Corsa Competizione. Cue the title card. Let's start with some general driving style advice. You may be completely new to sim racing, or maybe you're coming over to ACC from other sims such as rFactor 2, iRacing or Automobilista. This game requires a unique driving style that might not work as well in other titles, and the most important thing is to avoid overdriving. This is the most common and fundamental mistake people make when racing on ACC, so let me explain what it means. Overdriving essentially means trying too hard and driving the car in an overly aggressive manner. This includes braking too late, trying to carry too much speed into the corner, and trying to accelerate out of the corner too early. All of these are things people try and do to gain lap time, but if you overdo it, it will end up having a negative impact. Running wide will compromise your line, resulting in lost lap time. Carrying too much speed into the corner will result in understeer and tyre scrubbing, whilst getting on the power too early will result in oversteer and more time loss. This issue is a slippery slope as well, as often drivers who are struggling to set fast lap times believe they need to try harder and drive faster, but this results in more overdriving and slower lap times, so the cycle continues. The GT cars used in the game all suit a smooth driving style and don't react well when the tyres are being overworked. Backing off a little bit, hitting your apexes and using less extreme steering angles when turning will result in more consistency, better tyre wear, less accidents and also faster lap times. It's a win-win all round. Using this style on ACC will help you beat all of the frustrated drivers who are continuing to try too hard and overdrive the cars. The second entry into this list is pre-race preparation. Unfortunately, if you really do want to improve and win on Assetto Corsa Competizione, you will need to put in some effort before each of your races to prepare sufficiently. This starts from picking the correct car for you, one that suits your driving style and one that you feel comfortable in. You won't win in a car that's theoretically the fastest but you don't get on with, but you might win in a car that's not theoretically the fastest but you click well with. Then you need to learn the circuit. If you're looking for that edge in career mode, complete the practice sessions instead of skipping them, and use the lap time delta to your advantage in order to learn exactly where you are faster or slower. It's all about experimenting and making the most of the available info. Heck, even check out some of our Traxion track guides if you want to find those extra few tenths. Knowing your braking points, your lines and the track limits are all key to improving your lap times and your consistency in races. The next important aspect of preparation is setup. And no, I don't mean you need to be an engineering guru and spend hours changing every setting. Well, you can, but what I'm talking about is sorting out the basics. Try starting from the aggressive preset rather than the safe preset if you can and are comfortable with it, as it tends to be slightly quicker. As for making changes, if you want to learn about all of the various settings, you can check out our 3-part comprehensive setup guide. But if this is a step too far, just focus on the basic essentials. I would say these are tyre pressures, fuel loads, and possibly ride height. Having your tyres running in the optimal pressure window will help both your lap times and your grip levels. And guess what? We have a video explaining exactly how that works. Fuel is such a simple change to make, and there is no point giving yourself a handicap with the extra weight. 15 litres is a decent amount to use during qualifying runs, and your race fuel will of course depend on the length of the race. Fuel consumption varies between cars, drivers and fuel maps, but generally speaking, in dry conditions, 100 litres will last you between 55 and 65 minutes. For more specific numbers, you can take a note of your fuel usage during practice and do some quick calculations to work out how many litres you will need for the race. And that's not all for pre-race preparation, there's more. Check what the weather is going to do for your race if you can, and of course, work out if there's a chance of rain. This is an area where you can get the upper hand on the competition with a little bit of extra work. If you also practice in the rain as well as the dry, you can learn your wet lines and how the tyres react to differing temperatures and amounts of water. All of this will help you make informed decisions during the race, should the weather gods feel the need to intervene. The final bit of preparation I advise you to do is to prepare your race strategy. Is there a mandatory pit stop? If so, is there a specific pit window? How much fuel do you want to take on the first stint and how much do you plan on adding? Of course, all of this can be adapted on the fly, but it's worth setting some presets for a range of possible scenarios and having an idea of your plan before the green light. This third tip is all about engaging your brain and racecraft. Winning races isn't just about being fast, it's about smart thinking and calculated decision making in order to maximise the consequences of any action you may need to take. It's all well and good using hindsight as an excuse after the fact, but could you have prevented the mistake in the first place? Sometimes it can be beneficial in racing scenarios to defend hard and hold your position, but not always. Sometimes the car behind you is faster but erratic. Maybe it's on a different strategy and hasn't stopped yet, or maybe it's really light on fuel. Don't fight with every car, as fighting will cost you lap time. The amount of times I've seen a fast but erratic and aggressive driver behind me, so I've let them through, and then they've gone on to catch the car in front and wipe them out along with themselves, handing me 2 free positions. Fighting costs overall race time, so only do it if it's going to benefit you in the long term when things are said and done. I am planning on doing a video about the specifics of racecraft at some point in the near future, so keep an eye out for that one. But basically, be smart and think of the long-term situation. This also applies to the start of the race and damage. Sometimes you have to be specifically careful on lap 1 to stay out of trouble. Even if it means losing 2 positions on the first corner, you might then gain 4 places at turn 2 and avoid damage. Lap 1 damage is a big no-no, as this will hurt your lap times and performance for the rest of the race, or could even lead to mistakes and further crashes if the ill-handling car becomes a handful. Think of it this way, it's always better to lose 1 second but have a clean car than to gain a second but damage your car, and then you've got to drive around with a damaged car, losing you more seconds every lap, and then you've got to repair it in the pit stop as well, which loses you more seconds. So just avoid contact in the first place. It works. In ACC, you need to be flexible. And by flexible, I'm not talking about yoga. It's about being open to change when it comes to strategy as the race develops, especially in longer events with pit stops. This one ties in with the point I made earlier about pre-race preparation. Having 1 or 2 or 3 different strategies to use is one thing, but knowing when to implement them sensibly is a totally different skill set. Let's look at some examples. Maybe there is some rain on the forecast. Try and extend the first stint long enough so that you can take wet tyres. Maybe you're stuck in a train of traffic. Pit early and undercut the competition. Are you minimising your tyre wear, have clear space and good pace? Run as long as possible, take less fuel at the stop and be faster during your final stint on fresher tyres than your rivals. Okay, so these examples are fairly specific, but if you've done much longer racing on ACC, you will have come across most of them at least once. I certainly have plenty of times, and I used my brain, and it worked. When it comes to the pit stop itself, you want to be as efficient as possible. This takes practice, but nailing your pit stops will make a big difference in tight races. And guess what? We have a video about it, so check out that along with the rest of those mentioned in the description below. My teammates and I have always prepared well for this phase of the race, and we often gain multiple positions from it. I'm going to end with a really boring one. The 5th tip for winning races on Assetto Corsa Competizione is doing more races. Of course this is true in a literal sense as well, but what I really mean is that every race you complete, every lap you drive, every track you learn, every mistake you make, every battle you lose, and every battle you win, you'll learn something new. There was almost a song in there, but it kind of sounded like one of those annoying TV ads that keeps cropping up at the moment. As you gain experiences both inside and outside of your comfort zone, your decision making will improve. You will become more comfortable in tricky scenarios, your pace and consistency will inevitably improve as well, and you will begin to learn which methods of preparation work best for you. As you might expect, all of these things lead to more victories in the future. So there we have it, 5 ways to win on ACC, and although they require a bit of work and effort, that's the nature of the beast when it comes to games and sport in general. Babies have to learn entirely new languages before they can win at Scrabble. That's true dedication. That's it from me, and as I keep banging on about, which I'm sure you're totally sick of by now, we have tons of ACC help and advice available on the Traxion channel, so make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell to catch the videos as they are released. If there are any other aspects of the game that you would like us to cover in future, let us know. Until we meet again, keep it pinned, thanks for watching, and enjoy that sweet, sweet taste of champagne. This is Prosecco.